everyone! Welcome back to another wild ride where we dive into the drama. I'm your host, Mitsuri, and today we're comparing David Carlson to none other than Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. Just like Shigaraki hides behind his twisted ideology while wreaking havoc, Carlson pretends to be a hardcore conservative, but is only in it for himself. We'll be exposing his fake alliances, shady actions, and his most recent embarrassing slip-ups. And guess what? Carlson's all bluster, just like Shigaraki, while Nick Fuentes is the real deal, outsmarting him at every turn. From Carlson's lame attempts at bullying to his weak conservatism, we'll show why he's nothing compared to Nick's true leadership in Groyper War 2. Let's jump into it. Number 10. David Carlson pretends to be right-wing like Shigaraki's false ideology. David Carlson loves to present himself as a staunch conservative, but we know he's only in it for the money, much like Shigaraki Tamura in My Hero Academia, who hides behind a twisted ideology of destruction. Both pretend to stand for something bigger, but underneath, their actions reveal shallow motives. Shigaraki claims to lead the League of Villains for justice, but he's really just looking for power and chaos, just like David Carlson pretends to be right-wing, but is only after personal gain. In both cases, it's clear that this masquerade isn't fooling anyone for long. Nick Fuentes and the America First movement expose people like David for their lack of true conviction. Carlson's fake conservatism, like Shigaraki's phony idealism, crumbles when put to the test. Groyper War 2 seeks to weed out these frauds and show who the real conservatives are. Number 9. Carlson avoids talking about immigration, like Shigaraki avoids real convictions. Just as Shigaraki Tamura in My Hero Academia dodges real accountability for his destructive actions, David Carlson sidesteps the tough conversation about immigration eroding the cultural fabric of America. While Nick Fuentes fearlessly addresses these issues in Groyper War 2, Carlson hides behind vague rhetoric, afraid to truly stand for anything meaningful. Shigaraki's cowardice when it comes to facing the truth mirrors Carlson's unwillingness to confront the real conservative battles. Both think that by avoiding the hard topics, they can manipulate their way to success, but they're only fooling themselves. Groyper War 2 exposes the weakness of fake conservatives like Carlson. Number 8. Carlson gets nervous like Shigaraki fails when challenged. David Carlson was mocked by Valley Zoomer at a public event, stumbling over his words and getting visibly nervous when confronted. This reminds me of Shigaraki, who often falls apart when he's directly challenged, losing his cool and showing his true weakness. Just like Shigaraki's bravado disappears when real heroes stand against him, Carlson's fake confidence vanished when Valley Zoomer put him on the spot. Both Carlson and Shigaraki think they can dominate, but when faced with real opposition, they fold. Nick Fuentes, on the other hand, thrives under pressure, and Groyper War 2 proves that the real strength comes from standing firm in your convictions, not crumbling like Carlson and Shigaraki. Here's the clip where Valley Zoomer mocked David Carlson.
Hey David, one more thing.
Just leave me out.
One more thing,
What's
man.
up, man?
Come on, just one more thing.
What's up?
You're fat and you look like you have Down syndrome.
Okay.
Number 7. Carlson thinks he's smarter than he is, like Shigaraki's delusions of grandeur. Shigaraki, despite his constant failures, believes he's the mastermind of destruction. Similarly, David Carlson thinks he's an intellectual powerhouse, but time and time again, he proves otherwise. He underestimates those around him and overestimates his own abilities, much like Shigaraki does when facing off against the heroes in My Hero Academia. In reality, both of these figures are out of their depth. Nick Fuentes is miles ahead in terms of intelligence, strategy, and vision, making Carlson look like a fool in comparison. Groyper War 2 is built on real tactics, unlike the empty schemes of David Carlson and his Shigaraki-like delusions. Number 6. Carlson refuses to support Groyper War 2, like Shigaraki rejects real leadership. Despite the importance of Groyper War 2 in shaping the future of conservative politics, David Carlson refuses to support it, much like how Shigaraki refuses to embrace true leadership in My Hero Academia. Both Carlson and Shigaraki are more interested in selfish pursuits than in leading with integrity. Carlson, like Shigaraki, would rather tear down those who are actually fighting for change than join a meaningful cause. Nick Fuentes, on the other hand, is the true leader that Groiper War 2 needs, just as Ayana Koji leads through quiet strength in Classroom of the Elite. Carlson's refusal to support the cause only highlights how out of touch he is with the real battles conservatives are facing today. Number 5. Carlson bullies, like Shigaraki attacking Ali Jamal. Recently, David Carlson attacked the wholesome right-wing anime content creator Ali Jamal in a parking lot, showing his true bully nature. This is eerily similar to how Shigaraki uses fear and intimidation to get his way in My Hero Academia. Both figures are willing to resort to low tactics and cruelty to maintain control over their fragile power structures. While Carlson plays the tough guy, just like Shigaraki does, it's clear that their bullying tactics are desperate attempts to hide their insecurities. Unlike Nick Fuentes, who commands respect with integrity and leadership in Groiper War 2, Carlson's bullying only serves to expose his weakness. Number 4. Carlson lives in Nick's shadow like Shigaraki lives in All for One's shadow. Just as Shigaraki lives under the looming influence of All for One, David Carlson is stuck in the shadow of Nick Fuentes. Carlson despises Nick for his success in the conservative movement, much like how Shigaraki resents being seen as an extension of All for One. Carlson's jealousy and bitterness are evident in how he constantly undermines Nick's efforts, all while failing to achieve anything notable himself. Nick Fuentes, on the other hand, doesn't need to resort to cheap tactics to gain influence. Groiper War 2 is evidence that Nick's leadership is authentic and effective, while Carlson is left grasping for relevance. Much like Shigaraki struggles to step out of All for One's shadow. Number 3. Carlson's terrible alliances mirror Shigaraki's villainous crew. David Carlson surrounds himself with other fake conservatives like Jake Lloyd and John Doyle, much like how Shigaraki surrounds himself with villains who only bring chaos. Jake Lloyd even betrayed Nick Fuentes, just as Shigaraki's crew often betrays the very ideals they claim to uphold. These alliances are shallow and self-serving, ultimately leading to dysfunction and failure. Unlike Nick Fuentes, who builds alliances based on shared values and loyalty, Carlson's crew of fake conservatives is doomed to collapse under the weight of their own betrayals. Groiper War 2 is about exposing these false alliances and rallying true conservatives under the America First banner. Number 2. Carlson's content is boring, like Shigaraki's overused tactics. David Carlson's content is bland and lacks substance, much like how Shigaraki's repeated schemes in My Hero Academia fall flat. While Carlson thinks he's making an impact, his repetitive and uninspired material makes it clear that he's running out of ideas. Shigaraki's constant reliance on brute force and chaos without any real strategy mirrors Carlson's approach to his content: boring, ineffective, and forgettable. In contrast, Nick Fuentes' content is engaging, thought-provoking, and always relevant to the real conservative movement. Groiper War 2 showcases Nick's ability to keep the fight fresh, while Carlson's stale approach fails to inspire or engage. Number 1. Carlson is dumb like Shigaraki's lack of foresight. David Carlson isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, much like Shigaraki, whose lack of foresight constantly leads him into traps. Carlson's inability to think ahead and plan strategically mirrors Shigaraki's repeated failures in My Hero Academia. While both Carlson and Shigaraki think they're smarter than they really are, their actions reveal their glaring weaknesses. Nick Fuentes, on the other hand, is always 3 steps ahead. His leadership in Groiper War 2 is calculated, forward-thinking, and grounded in real principles, unlike Carlson, who bumbles through political commentary with no clear direction. Just as Shigaraki's plans fall apart, so will Carlson's weak attempts to stay relevant. And that's a wrap, folks. Just like Shigaraki's schemes in My Hero Academia, David Carlson's tactics are bound to fail, while Nick Fuentes in Groiper War 2 will keep rising to victory. Whether it's Carlson's bullying or his weak alliances, we can see that he's no match for Nick's sharp strategy and real conservative values. So, here's to Nick leading the charge and outsmarting the fake conservatives every time. Thanks for watching, everyone! Hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Groyper War 2 content. Bye, everyone!